It's a day of celebration of his legacy. You were among one of the few people I know in my life who actually went to the I Have a Dream speech. Can you tell us about that day, August of 28th, I believe, in 1963?
Well, I never will forget it because it was a large electric crowd, larger than I had anticipated. And of course, I was a native Washingtonian, so we were right at home, surrounded by friends and visitors from out of town. I was so far away from Dr. King, from the steps, I think it was the Lincoln Memorial, as I recall.
Yeah.
And we were really energized by it. So, and I went down with couple of my teammates, white teammates from Maryland, to the speech, and they were just, overwhelmed. I can't remember who went with me. Sorry to say, but it was, it was a carload of us. We drove over from the campus and spent the afternoon in D.C.
That was a very stirring speech, and it's one of the most historic speeches in U.S. history. Kennedy, JFK, who was a great orator himself, saw that speech and went, "My gosh, that he can talk." And I'm thinking, well, if you get a compliment from JFK about speech making, but it goes way beyond that with Dr. Martin Luther King. What did you take away from that day when you walked away after the speech was over?
Well, what I took away was that King basically was pushing for equal rights, but pushing for equal rights in a peaceful manner. But I think he reached everybody's heart and soul when he said, "I had a dream," and that all men were created equal, and blah 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 blah. It just grabbed you, and we, I can remember the reaction of my teammates. They were really, kind of hyped up about it. It seemed to move them as much as it moved me or other African Americans in the crowd. I think it moved everybody.
Absolutely, it still does. All these years later, it still does.
It still does. It still does.
The University of Maryland, Lee Corso, the assistant coach at University of Maryland's going, "Hey, this is our guy. We're Division I. We're ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. No African Americans playing in that entire conference, and we're talking about NC State, Clemson, Wake Forest, places like that. They're courting you and they want you. You have the grades, you're the man, they want to break the mold, and you're the guy to do it." And that's why I said you're kind of reluctant, because from what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you said something to the effect like, "Hey, I'm no Jackie Robinson. I just want to play some football."
Yeah, exactly. Of course, I said, I said, "Coach, can I remind you of what conference you played in?" And he said, "Well, that's just the point. We've decided here in Maryland that it's time for us to break that freeze." Actually, I was the first African American to play for any major university in the South, period, below the Mason-Dixon line. So that was the Southeast Conference, at the time, Southwest Conference, and the ACC. So sort of a Jackie Robinson of sports, for college sports in a certain way.
Oh, it's not sort of, it is.
And I was the first African American to be given a scholarship to play any athletics at any college in the South. So I said, "Coach, I don't know whether I want to live under a microscope. I'm not trying to be Jackie Robinson. I want to go to college and I want to play football and have fun, chase girls, drink beer, do what students do without all the scrutiny that's going to come along with this." And so he pressed the right button. He turned around and said, "Oh, I see. Then you're afraid, huh?"
Oh, man. You don't want to hear stuff like that. Now you want to prove
I said, "Okay, Coach, you got me."
Well, you certainly weren't scared. You went down to the belly of the beast, so to speak. You went to Clemson. You played games at Wake Forest. You played games at NC State. This is 1963. The height of Dr. Martin Luther King, the fight for civil rights. African Americans, women, a lot of other groups of people are marginalized in society. Tell us about your experiences down south.
Well, the problem down south was more the fans than the players. I have to say that I never had a player curse at me. I never had a player make a dirty hit or gouge or anything like that. Now they roughed me up, but that came with with the territory of being a good player, not necessarily because I was black, which was very, very interesting. And I could sense the camaraderie. There was a certain camaraderie there. You know, these guys, more than once, the player had come up to me, you know, we don't like this circus, you know, we just want to play this game and, you know, and have fun. But the fans were nasty. And they, you know, they had organized racial cheers and the whole 9 yards. You know, those who harbor prejudices, they have the load and the burden to carry, not me. It takes a lot to hate people in such a way that people are hating people to this very day. It takes a lot away from me. And it's unsatisfying, it's ungratifying. So I don't have a problem. And I was never afraid, you know. And, you know, some people say, well, why weren't you afraid? I said, because I was young and dumb and it didn't, I knew what the intention of all of that was.
I mean, what advice do you have for people, not just African Americans, but women, anyone who may feel as though they're marginalized by society? You obviously took up the mantle yourself, faced a lot of adversity, overcame a lot of it, but what advice, because you would be the sage to give this advice.
Well, first of all, don't be afraid. So you can't let someone cower you, even if it's economic pressure and cowardice. You got to stand up, you know, for what you believe and what you think, and then have the confidence to believe that you're capable of getting anything done and you can operate in any environment. If you let them make you feel that you're not capable, then you're not going to perform properly. So you got to be strong, and you got to have a undying faith in your abilities. Don't get angry. Angry serves no useful purpose. You can hold it inside and use it to drive yourself, but yelling and screaming and pushing and shoving gets nowhere.